Oleksandr Usyk is a special fighter. I mean, we knew going into this fight, when we were looking back at his record, we knew that this guy was really good when he became undisputed at cruiserweight. I mean, at that point in the conversation, we're talking about a guy who won gold in the Olympics, and then he goes out and he wins undisputed at cruiserweight. I mean, we know looking at him how good he is. Even though he didn't really receive the acclaim for it, right? Even though he didn't really receive all the buzz that he was supposed to, because let's be perfectly honest with each other, right? Cruiserweight gets overlooked. It's not historically one of the divisions that receives a lot of buzz, a lot of media, a lot of attention. I mean, if he would have went and won undisputed at, think about it, lightweight, junior welterweight, middleweight, light heavyweight, any of these other divisions, when we see guys snatch up undisputed status, they receive a whole lot of the spotlight. Usyk does it at cruiserweight, nobody really pays that much attention. But if you're going out there and you're actually looking at the man as like a boxing purist, a hardcore fan, you're watching the man do his craft, you look and you say, Usyk's a really good fighter. But then he moves up to heavyweight and he ends up beating Anthony Joshua in the first fight. Now at that point, we had to step back and we had to say, wow, what exactly is this man doing? What exactly is he bringing to the table? Right? The casual fan who was just watching, maybe not the casual fan, but the guy who's over here watching, he's paying attention, he's looking, he's just watching kind of the landscape of boxing and seeing what's going on. At that point, that really caught his attention. At that point, he's got to stand up, he's got to look, and he's got to say, what exactly is going on over here? Right? What exactly is this man Usyk doing? What's he trying to prove? What's he going to do next? Right? Where exactly does this show end? Goes out there and beats Joshua a second time. Now that was something, right? Not exactly because, I mean, going into that one, he was the favorite. He wasn't even the underdog. But when you think about it, he beats Joshua the first time. Okay, gets the win. We see how technical he is. We see how good he is. We see the footwork. We see how he uses the angles. We see the hand speed, the shot selection, all of these things. We see the 12th round when he hurts. We saw all of that. But in the rematch, what we saw was a Joshua who was even more motivated, who was more prepared, who performed better. A Joshua who had already seen Usyk. There was going to be absolutely no excuse for being taken by surprise, for underestimating him, for being, maybe Usyk was a little bit tricky. But after you saw him the first time, you kind of had a chance, you figured him out. There was going to be no excuses. Joshua looked much better. Usyk gets the win again. Now you're looking and you're saying, wow. Wow, man, what are we going to do here? What's this guy going to do next? Where does this end? Is he going to go over here? Is he going to beat Fury? Is he going to beat Tyson Fury? Is he going to become the undisputed champion of the world? You're looking at this and you're thinking this man has a legitimate shot. Because while all this is going on, we're watching what Fury's doing over here with Deontay Wilder. And we're thinking, man, this is really, truly what's the fights that's determining everything. Because we got to be honest. Tyson Fury is the guy who started this era of the heavyweight division. Right? And I say that because he's the lineal champ, but he's the guy who went out there and beat Klitschko. And everybody knows that Klitschko era is the one prior to this. It was an era defined by boredom. It was an era defined by just soul-draining, energy-sucking fights that nobody really wants to talk about. It's rather unfortunate that Vladimir was the Klitschko brother that really became the one of that era because of the injuries that Vitaly got, because that dude came out there and he was a little bit ugly, a little bit unorthodox, a little bit off balance at times, kind of herky-jerky here and there. But I'll tell you what, the dude could punch, the dude could fight. His fights were exciting. If you have not seen the fight with him and Lennox Lewis, please stop everything you're doing. Go back and watch that one. You won't be disappointed, right? Amazing fight. Nevertheless, my point in bringing all that up, Tyson Fury was the one to beat Vladimir Klitschko. Tyson Fury was the one to end that reign and start this reign of the modern not the modern heavyweight, but this current era. Right, in 2015 of these heavyweights. So we're looking at all of this and we're thinking, we've seen what Tyson Fury's doing, the lineal champ. We've seen he's going out there and he's beating Deontay Wilder. And a lot of people are discrediting Usyk actually really being a threat in a lot of ways, right? Particularly because the guy's so much smaller. It's not a knock on his skill level. The man's skill level has always been top notch through the roof. Nobody's ever doubted that. But really, it's like you're talking about a guy in Fury who's not just a big guy. He is a big guy, but he's not just a big guy. He's a big guy who has an incredible skill set in himself. And it's actually a very unique skill set for the heavyweight division. So when we're looking at Usyk, it's like, man, what he's doing with Joshua is awesome. But maybe this is just a style matchup. Maybe this is a situation where styles make fights. And even though Usyk is amazing, and even though he does great stuff, what we're seeing against Joshua is really more the way the styles match up versus what he'd be able to do to the heavyweight division at large. Because even though he's going out there and doing this against Joshua, let's be honest with each other. This man hasn't made a career of 25, 30, 35 wins through the heavyweight division, right? He's relatively new to this. What's he been doing? 4 fights in at this point, right? Super new. Okay, then he goes out there and he beats the boy. All right, on paper, you look back, you think he got the KO against the boy. Is that really a surprising thing? It's not, but that was the fight. That was the fight where we saw the chink in the armor, right? That was the fight that really made us look, because that was the fight where he got the body shot, slash, low blow, guy, right? Hits the canvas, gets called, all of this, and he gets called a low blow, so he gets his time, he gets up, he ends up getting the KO. But everybody looks at this fight and they're like, look, now we got to step back and we got to take a little bit of pause. We got to start to look at things. We saw in the rematch with Joshua how he was getting caught. We saw a few things there. He was getting caught with some more punches. He was able to get controlled a little bit at times when he was able to get pushed back. When Joshua was able to control him with a jab and then land some shots. When he wasn't so flat-footed. When he was letting his right hand go with a little bit more ease and a little bit more fluidity. Right, he was seeing success at those points. Then we're seeing the fight with Dubois, and we saw what happened there. We're looking at his age. We're looking at the fight, and we're looking at the war in Ukraine and what's going on over there and thinking about how that may be taking his attention and stuff. All of these things going on, and we're looking and we're like, on top of all of that, the man that he's got to go through is Tyson Fury, right? And we've already talked about the size and the skill level he possesses, the way that he's able to just, for the most part, eat the punches that Deontay Wilder throws, even the ones that knock him down. He's getting back up, he's getting the win. We're looking at all these things. We're like, now we're pretty much sure. Now we're pretty much convinced that at this point, when these two match up, we're going to give the win to Fury. But then we saw what happened with Fury and Ngannou. All of a sudden, Ngannou, MMA guy, second boxing match at this point, right? He goes out there and he drops Fury, boom, and we're like, whoa. Now all of a sudden the conversation's back on. Now all of a sudden we're wondering what's going to happen here. And then we get tonight, man. Usyk goes out there and gets the victory. And it's not just that he got the victory. As if that wouldn't have been impressive enough. As if that wouldn't have made us stand up and cheer and applaud enough. As if that wouldn't have been a big enough accomplishment. Undisputed champion, first time in 25 years. Last man was Lennox Lewis. First time in 25 years that we have been able to see a heavyweight wear the crown of undisputed. But it's not enough that he got that title, dude. This fight lived up to the hype that we wanted. Right now, we don't get that too often. It's not too often that you see a fight get massive amounts of buildup and then deliver on top of that. Usually it almost has to be somewhat of a letdown. It almost has to be, because when you've been building up a fight this much, when things have been this big, how do you not get let down just a little bit? This fight lived up to it, man. And it was Usyk that made these changes. It was Usyk that figured out a way to make it work, right? Because we saw him come out early and he's being aggressive. He's being on the front foot. He's trying to land some shots here and there. Okay, that's not really that surprising. Nobody's really surprised by the fact that he was trying to come out early and establish himself. Think about it as the smaller guy, as the guy who's needs to come out and make a point to your bigger, stronger, longer opponent. And it's that I'm here, I'm real, I'm legit. I can get inside, I can land some shots when I want to. I can be aggressive, I can be on the front foot. He's applying really good pressure, right? He's got Fury up against the ropes. He's got him like unsure of the distance, and he's not really comfortable. All good stuff, not really surprising necessarily. The one thing that stood out to me about it was Fury's corner, man. Was the fact that they weren't even flustered in the least. Not even in the littlest bit, almost as though they expected it all to go down that way. I'm like, okay, let's see what happens. And then all of a sudden we see Fury start to step on the gas. Then all of a sudden we see Fury start to land these shots, right? He starts to get his right hand off more. He starts to get his jab off more. He all of a sudden starts to find this uppercut. He's using it as a counter. He's using it as part of his combinations when he's coming forward and being the aggressor. He's starting to land his check hook a little bit. Boom, boom, boom. And these things are piling up. And then all of a sudden he lands a big uppercut and he hurts Usyk. And I'm like, man. This is it, right? Here we go. And it's the way in which he's getting his shots off. He's starting to look so comfortable, and he carries his hands low, so it's hard to see where his shots are coming from. And then he's got the long arms, so he's able to get at distances, but he's also able to fight on the inside. I mean, he's using his upper body movement, so even when he's getting caught, he's rolling shots off. I mean, Fury is just a force to be reckoned with, right? I mean, we've known this for quite some time. This dude's something else, and then all of a sudden he's starting to get this momentum, right? And when he hurts Usyk, I'm like, that's it, man. This is it. The beginning to the end. This is where we see it start to go downhill. Fury was being calculated. He wasn't going to go in there and just be all reckless and apply pressure. But we saw Usyk turn it around, man. I think it was the 8th round. I think the 8th round was the first round after he got hurt, after Fury went on this run, after he had the momentum. The 8th round. Usyk sticks around, man. Figures out a way to survive after getting hurt. 8th round, we give it to him. And I'm like looking at it, and he's starting to land the left hand. He's starting to go to the body. He's hitting him in the rib cage with it. Fury, again, he's moving around a little more. I'm like, okay, here we see. Then the 9th round, dude, and this guy lands the shot heard around the world. He lands the punch that changes the complexion of the fight, right? Changes the whole thing. He goes out there, man. He spins Fury's head around, knocks him against the ropes. Eyes are rolling in the back of his head. I mean, what a shot, dude. And then goes on to batter him around the ring a little bit. Now, I saw on Twitter, there were some people talking about this one, and they said that the ref basically saved Tyson at this point, right? The ref basically went out there, gave him a standing 8 count. Saved him. Should have been stopped. Should have been a knockout at this point. Gave him a standing 8 count. That gave him the time that he needed to be saved by the bell. First of all, couldn't be more wrong. Couldn't be more incorrect. It wasn't a standing 8 count by any stretch of the imagination. You're not going to see that in a professional prize fight for the undisputed heavyweight championship of the world. What you saw was a situation in which the ref determined that if the ropes would not have been there, Tyson Fury would have fell down. Right? It was the ropes that saved him from a knockdown. And in a situation like that, you're supposed to call it a knockdown. If you believe that if the ropes were not there, that the man would have fell down, it would have been a knockdown, then you're supposed to call it a knockdown anyways. And that's what the ref determined at that point. He goes, teetering across the ring, falls into the ropes in a way in which he felt the ropes held him up, so he calls the knockdown. He gets the 8 count, and then the round ends. And I remember thinking at this point, we've seen Fury dropped a lot. We've seen him hurt a lot. We've seen him hit with some real big shots from guys like Deontay Wilder. He's always been able to come back. But here's the difference. Usually when he gets hit with the shot, it's 1 shot, maybe 2, and he drops. He gets back up. It gives him time to recover. It gives him time to get his wits about himself. He's a big guy. He's a very smart boxer, very high ring IQ. So once he gets back to his feet, he knows what to do. Whether he's going to block the shots, whether he's going to parry him, whether he's going to go with a clinch, whether he's going to start to throw some punches to try to keep some distance. Whatever the situation may be, he knows what to do, and he's got the time to do it after only eating 1, maybe 2 shots. But this wasn't this scenario, man. Usyk went out there and just started laying it on him, right? So he hits him with the big shot that hurts him, eyes roll back in his head, and then probably hits him with another, 12 punches before the ref eventually jumps in. And he looked horrible at this point, dude. Fury looked horrible at this point. I'm like, that's it, man. It's over. What a comeback, dude. What a way for Usyk to turn the tide. Comes in with, lands this beautiful left hand right on the chin. He's going to walk away with the belts. But lo and behold, right, we see Tyson Fury once again just pull this miraculous recovery move that he's become known for, and the way in just which his powers of recovery are almost supernatural at this point. The way this dude, by, I want to say like a minute 45 left in the 10th round, less than halfway through the 10th round, this dude was already back bouncing around on his toes, throwing a little bit more snap in his punches here and there. But Usyk holds it out, ends up coming away with the split decision victory. The only score that I could see you legitimately giving Tyson Fury and giving him a win in this one would be 114-113, which would be 7 rounds to 5 for Fury, but he loses, which would normally be a score of 115-113, right? 7 rounds to 5. And then he loses 1 extra point for the knockdown that he suffered in the 9th round, which would be a score of 114-113 for Fury. If that was the case, if you gave him that round, if you gave him that score, I can see that. I can see that. I'm not going to say that's an illogical or an irrational argument. That being said, you give this fight to Usyk. 100%, I see that as well. That's watching this fight. I didn't go back and watch it a second time. I didn't score it necessarily while I was watching it. But just off the top of my head, even if you scored this like 6 rounds to 6, which I could totally see, you're still going to give that extra point to Usyk, which is what one of the judges had when he gave it 114-113. So super close fight though, man. But I do feel like they got it right. A lot of people were saying that they felt like Fury won it. Like I said, I get that, man. I mean, some of those shots that he was landing, the way that he was coming with those counter uppercuts and stuff, beautiful stuff, man. What a fight. Love the fact that he said right away in there, hey, we're going for the rematch. October, we're going to see this again, because that's exactly what I want to see. How could you want to see anything else at this point? I mean, I know we got Zhang and Deontay Wilder fighting. They signed I believe they signed a deal for August between Deontay Wilder and Jared Anderson, and we've got all kinds of things going on. But after a fight like that, dude, as much as we've been waiting for the buildup on this one, as much as the stakes are there, as much as these guys have done with each other, it's like nobody wants to see one of these guys go fight Anthony Joshua or Deontay Wilder or Zhang or anybody else. As much as, you know, a guy may win a bunch of fights and be worthy of it, as much as you may see a young up-and-comer want to come in here and have a chance to prove himself, there's only one fight that we want to see these gentlemen in at this point, and that's going to be a rematch between the two of them because it was an awesome fight. It's worthy of a rematch. Both of these guys laid it all out on the line. You know, what a performance, right? What a performance. And my hat's off to Oleksandr Usyk, man. The man went out and did what a lot of people for a long time didn't think he really could do. And even with the ebbs and the flows of the back and the forth building up to this one, and Tyson Fury, is as much as he's a personality and the people think he's focused, he's not focused. What about Ngannou, and what did he do here, and what about these fights, and what's he going to do with those? As much as all all the things that are going on and the distractions of the war that's going on over in Ukraine and everything else, man, this dude comes out here with the stone cold locked in look of a single-minded assassin. And goes out there and finds a way to get the job done. Face of incredible adversity after getting hurt, he lost at least 5 rounds in a row before he ended up coming back, right? I mean, what a performance. So, you know, what did you guys think of this one? Were you as impressed with Usyk's performance as I was? What did you think of Fury's performance? What do you think is going to happen in the rematch? Because here's the thing about the rematch. It's not going to look like the first fight. There'll be elements of it, but it's not going to look like the first fight. The first question you got to ask is, did either man fight a special fight? Did either man look like he lifted himself above his normal level? And if the answer to that is yes, can he do that again? Or will he revert back to his normal level? Or did both men fight at a normal level and you think it'll be slight adjustments to the game plan, but both men will make these actions and counteractions? Do you think that after a performance like that Usyk's got his number now and now he's going to come with? Dude, there's so many questions going in, but they're all going to be awesome ones. So let me know what you guys think, and are you as excited for this rematch as I am?